Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 50. It's a recording of a class given by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles, 1973. Without further ado, we'll start the class now. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Naino Ragyah Praja Bharatur Dharma Yuddhe Vadho Dvisham Iti Me Na Tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vachaha Naino ragyah prajapartur ragyah prajapartur dharma yuddhe vadhodvisham iti me natu bodhaya kalpate shasanam vachaha naino ragyah prajapartur dharma yuddhe vadhodvisham iti me natu bodhaya kalpate shasanam vachaha naino ragyah prajapartur dharma yuddhe vadhodvisham iti me natu bodhaya kalpate shasanam vachaha
Naino ragya praja bhartur
naino ragya prajapartur. No, never, inaha, sins, ragya, of the king, prajapartuhu, of one who is engaged in the maintenance of the citizens, dharma, for the right cause, yuddhe, in the fight, vadaha, killing, dvisham, of the enemies, iti, all these, may, for me, na, never, to, but, bodhaya, for satisfaction, kalpate, they are meant for administration, shasanam, injunction, vachaha, words of. Translation: there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me.
Explain.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswate Devam Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Shatarne. The first part of this verse, the first half of this verse, Naino Ragyah Prajaparatur Dharma Yudhe Vadhod Visham Iti. This is a statement or an injunction of Shastra. That for that the killing or the vadha, dvisham, of the enemies, dharma yuddhe, in a religious fight, ragyaf prajabharatur, of a king who is maintaining his citizens. He has to maintain his citizens, so if there's some danger, then he has to eliminate the enemy.
What is religious fight? Religious fight means you have got right to kill your aggression. If somebody takes your property, if somebody sets fire in your house, if somebody kidnaps your wife, or somebody is trying to kill you, they are called aggression. So, aggression should be killed immediately. It is not that somebody has become an aggressor, and if I say, no, I have become a Vaishnava, I will not be violent, I shall tolerate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us to be tolerant like the tree or the grass, so I shall become tolerant. Let him do. Just like Gandhi used to say. Somebody questioned him that if somebody comes and violates the chastity of your daughter in your presence, what you will do? He said, I shall remain non-violent. And that is not shastric enjoyment. This is foolishness. If somebody is aggressor, he must be killed immediately. Dharma Juddha. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking that although there was fight, the fight was between our own men, my brother, my nephews, my grandfather. So they are family members. I have killed them for my kingdom. He's thinking in that way. He's a pious man. Violence is required. We don't say non-violence. Just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us the instruction, Tinadapi Shuni Chena Tarorapi Sahishnuna. One should be tolerant for bearing, like the trees, like the grass. Amanina manadina. One should give respect to others. In this way one should chant Hare Krishna mantra, because in chanting Hare Krishna mantra there will be so many aggressors. The nature is so cruel. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, his only fault was that he was chanting Hare Krishna and the father was aggressive, giving him trouble, so many ways. So he must be prepared. Therefore, as there is danger, that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us. That be tolerant. But not that where violence is required we should be tolerant. No. Just like while Nityananda Prabhu was injured by Jagai Madai, he wanted to immediately kill him. Similarly, non-violence does not mean that in right causes also he will remain non-violent. No. You do not attack anybody unnecessarily. You do not kill unnecessary animal, even, not even an ant. You should be non-violent by your nature. But when there is aggression, there are enemies, the Shastra says, Dharma Juddha, that is Dharma Juddha. Prajabhatru Dharma Juddhe Badhu Disham, envious. So that must be killed. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was thinking in terms of fight between the family, their friends, their nephews, their grandfather. So he was thinking himself as culprit. But in Dharma Juddha, the Pandavas, they tried to settle the issue. Actually, the kingdom belonged to Maharaj Yudhishthira. It was inheritance from his father, Pandu. But somehow or other, they were cheated by the gurus. They were sent to the forest. In the meantime, they grabbed everything. And when they came back, so asked, give us our ruling power. So they would not give. No. Without fight we shall not give. So the Pandavas, even Krishna, tried their best to settle up this issue, but there was no settlement. So at that time, war was declared. That is Dharma Yuddha. They tried to settle up the fight, but it was not possible. When it is not possible, then the last resort is to take to fighting. That is Dharma Yuddha. The battlefield, it is therefore called Dharma Khetra. Dharma Khetre Kurukhetre. That fight was right. And especially when Krishna was present, it is already Dharma Khetra. Wherever, just like this is temple, or similar houses are there, many. Why it is temple? Because Krishna is there. Therefore it is called Dharma Khetra, temple. What is the difference between temple? In other houses there may be big hall like this, there may be many men eating, sleeping. That is not temple. Where actually God is there, that is called temple. Similarly, although Battle of Kurukshetra was a fighting place, because Krishna was there, therefore it is Dharma Khetra. Whenever Krishna is there, that is Dharma Khetra. Tatra tishtami narada, jatra gayanti mad bhaktya. So, those who are bhaktas, they can make every place a pilgrimage, because they can sing the glories of the Lord and they can bring the Lord in that place. So it doesn't matter whether it is here or there in America or India, wherever Krishna is there, that is Dharma Khetra. Dharma Khetri Kurukhetri Samavita Juditha. So that fight was quite sanctioned by the Shastra. It is not the Pandavas did wrong, no. They did right thing. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, being too cautious, too religious, he is thinking that I did not carry out the injunction of the Shastra, that fighting is meant for the enemies, not for the friends. So I have fought with my friends, with my relatives, with my brother, therefore I am most abominable. That is the nature of the Vaishnava. They always think of themselves as very humble, meek. That is Sinadha. Personally, one should remain very humble and meek, but that does not mean that when there is for a Kshatriya to kill the enemies, that is Dharma Yuddha, that is religious. Therefore there was section, the Kshatriya section, the Brahman section, the Vaishya section. There everyone is engaged in his own occupational duty. So other section, Brahman, Vaishya, Shudras, if they are in difficulty, they should lodge complaint to the king. Just like in these days also, suppose one is wrongdoer, he has done wrong to me, I cannot take directly to punish him. No, that you cannot do. You have to lodge the complaint to the government agent. And if required, government can kill him, sanction, kill this man. He is a murderer. So the sanction should come from there. Similarly, this division very scientific. Killing business is for the Kshatriya, not for the Brahmanas. Kshatriya, he can kill, there is no sin for him. The Brahmanas are not going to kill. So this system, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, very scientific system, Chaturvarnam Vaya system, Guna Karma Vibhagasa, but now everything is lost. But to make people happy, the Vedic culture is the most perfect. The Kshatriyas are meant for fighting, Kshatriyas are meant for ruling, punishing. These are meant for the Kshatriyas. They are exacting taxes. That is their means of livelihood. The government can levy tax for expenditure. You cannot levy tax. So, there are living means of everyone. For Brahmana, the living means patan, patan, jajan, jajan, dana pratigraha. Brahman is meant for teaching others and become himself a learned scholar. That is Brahmana Vidya. Patan, patan, jajan, jajan. He should be a great worshipper of Vishnu and he should teach others also. It's like we are not only worshipping Krishna in our temple, but we are making propaganda. This is Brahmana's business. But if the government calls all our students to the draft board, come on, fight, and that is nonsense. Of course, they have got clauses not to disturb the ministerial class. That exception is there. Many of our students was excused from being called by the draft board on the ground that they have adopted the religious ministerial order. That rule is prevalent everywhere at all times. At the present moment, the society is chaos because there is no proper training for the particular class of men. A Brahmana should be trained up, a Kshatriya should be trained up, a Vaishya should be trained up, a Shudra should be trained up. Chaturvarnam Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhagas, according to quality. Why Vedic culture has failed in India? It is simply remaining in name. Because everyone claimed to become Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya by birth only. No qualification. The Brahman has no qualification of a Brahmana. And because he is born of a Brahmin father and Brahmin family, he is claiming I am Brahman. This is not Shastra sanctioned. So, just see, here is a Kshatriya, ideal Kshatriya, Maharaj Yudhishthira. How he is lamenting. He has done right thing, still he is conscious that he has killed his family member, Bandhu, Bandhu Bandhav, relatives. Then, gone. Yes. Or what is the time? Chant Hare Krishna. Okay. Chant more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, another very important lecture. So many things that Srila Prabhupada pointed out, but one thing he was staying with was Yudhishthira's lamentation that so many people had been killed in this Kurukshetra war when it was over. 640 million people have died. But actually, in Krishna's eyes, 640 million people have been liberated. Kshatriya, if you fight Dharma Yuddha, religious war, then at the very least, the soldier would go to the heavenly planets. At the very least. But for this particular war, the Kurukshetra war, some of those who died actually were got the chance to go to the spiritual world, literally. Those who saw Krishna and appreciated Krishna's beauty, even without hearing anything from him. He was right on the chariot, marked with the insignia of Hanuman. And Arjun was the one that was doing the fighting. Just people seeing anyone who saw Krishna and appreciated Krishna, just beauty alone, before they died, went to the spiritual world. Why? We've told that when we think of Krishna at the time of death, then you go to Krishna Loka. So they thought of Krishna, they saw Krishna, and so when they left the bodies, then Krishna promoted them to the Vaikuntha planets. So that advantage is there for everybody. It doesn't have to be in a war. But if you think of Krishna at the time of death, you're going to see Krishna. Hare Krishna. So you can unmute yourselves now, anyone who wants to make comments about this very important lecture. You can do so now. Hare Krishna. Anybody?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all gracious Srila Prabhupada. This lecture, when I was actually, as this was playing out, I pulled up the, what you call it, the transcription of the lecture. And what was coming to my mind is, when I was reading the verse again, 1:850, where it's translated that there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who's engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me. What was coming to my mind is that, people in general have qualities that are not conducive for spiritual life. And sometimes those qualities and character and behavior can be a hindrance in our devotional path. And Prabhupada says that, and I was reading the first part of his, of the purport, of the lecture, not Prabhupada, sorry, Pradumya, when he was reading it, he said that, in a religious fight of a king who's maintaining his citizens, he has to maintain his citizens. So if there is some danger, then he has to eliminate the enemy. So what was coming to my mind is people in general, we have a quote unquote hidden enemy, inside us, like we were told about the 6 enemies of the mind, right? So we have the 6 enemies of the mind that we are always fighting with and challenging and having a hard time dealing with it. Then it's the duty of the leader to help the citizens to eliminate, or to get rid of the 6 enemies of the mind, or one of the 6 enemies of the mind, to protect everyone else. So I was just thinking how important it is for us to recognize the enemies in our mind, our body, and our heart, especially the mind and the heart, because which is not conducive for Krishna consciousness. And that is a religious fight that we all go through every single day. It is not just the physical battle that Prabhupada is mentioning here, which is the battle of Kurukshetra, of course, because that's what Yudhishthira is lamenting about, that he's lamenting about so many young, innocent people being killed. But what's the for me, the lesson behind it is that every day we are fighting our own battle of Kurukshetra, our Dharma Yuddha, we are always, every single day, we are fighting our own battle of Kurukshetra, which is the mind and the heart. The 6 enemies of the mind and the heart giving us wrong instructions, that we have to, just as someone, like here, because Maharaj Yudhishthira is a pure devotee of the Lord, that he is, so we have to take shelter of, seniors and spiritual mentors and guru, sadhu shastra, to help us fight our internal battle of Kurukshetra, so that it's conducive, so that we can make our lives spiritual, conducive to progress in Krishna consciousness. And I think, when we see that we are stagnant, or we're not able to surrender, we're not able to, grow spiritually, we're not advancing, is because we're still fighting our own battle, Kurukshetra, and we haven't found the right tools, or we haven't taken shelter or taking instructions, spiritual guidance, and mentoring, or whatever it takes to help us fight our religious fight, our Dharma Yuddha, that we go through every single day internally to help us progress in our in our Krishna consciousness. That's what's coming. That's my personal reflection from this class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, training is very, very important. Otherwise, for one example, we would have a lot of very incompetent doctors, medical doctors. But they all go to, and I'm talking about incompetent medical doctors who have actually passed all the exams in medical school. The irony of it, right? They've studied everything, they've passed, yet they will be incompetent. Why? Because the training is not there. Devotees also need to be trained. If you go through training, you realize that there's more to devotion than you thought of. It's not just Shastra. Shastra is our guide. Training is the real deal. That is the real deal. That's what makes you a devotee. You know what to do. What to do. Shastra is what you've learned theoretically. Training is what to do. That's hands-on. Books cannot give you hands-on. A person can give you hands-on. That is the difference. Anybody that's trained knows very well that Shastra is such an important part of a devotee's life, but it is not all. Another person has to train you. As a matter of fact, becoming into Krishna consciousness takes another devotee. It's another devotee that will bring you into Krishna consciousness. Mm-hmm. If you try to do it by yourself, you got some books and you're reading and reading, you'll realize that you'll be short. Some things you won't understand and some things just won't make any sense to you. But as soon as you begin to talk to somebody who is experienced, has been in Krishna consciousness for a while, it becomes clearer as to why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. The Shastra helps us. The Shastra, especially the one that Srila Prabhupada has written with all the purports, it's the greatest help we can get. That's close to the real training as one can get. Still, Srila Prabhupada had to, when he was here, had to train, including even tying saris, which some people already know, but some people did not know. I was taught how to tie dhoti in Detroit. I remember it like it was yesterday. So, and then what to do and what not to do, and why. Those little things. Not everything is in the Shastra. So if you're just heavy in knowledge of Shastra alone, you will never be a well-rounded devotee without training. You will never be a well-rounded devotee. I can stake my life on it practically, telling you that. So you gotta get training. Very important. Hare Krishna. Dear Krishna Prabhu, I saw you raised your hand. Please go ahead. Dear Krishna Prabhu? Okay, well maybe she comes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Oh,
please
Hare
accept my
Krishna.
obeisance. All glory to Srila Prabhu. Yeah, I think you pretty much answered my question in your last answer. My question was more specific to if we see this section of Srimad Bhagavatam or even Bhagavad Gita, um, uh, there is fighting going on, right? And there is parties, different parties. So even 5,000 years back, when the Supreme Lord was here, there was so much chaos and so much violence, and Krishna very clearly supported that in the support of the dharma, that it is when it is required, we have to do it. But in today's times, it's even more chaotic. So many opinions, um, so much information, right or wrong. So how to choose who is right, who is wrong, and my question was more specific to that on
Mm,
that line.
mm. Yeah, it's we said that the Shastra guides us, then you have to have training. This is what we talked about earlier, training. Um, a person that is training you, a person that is answering your questions, will back it up with Shastra injunction. That's how you know. Srila Prabhupada sometimes gives examples of people who claim to be God, and they just learn some mystic cities, and they can perform some mystic, 8 mystic cities. They can perform what looks like magic, and people cannot do what they can do, and therefore they believe in them. But the Shastra is very specific as to who is God, who is an incarnation of God, and who isn't. And so when they come up and they start talking about I'm God because they can perform some magic to fool people, then where's the Shastra to support you, your claim? And if it's not there, then that person is false. And the other thing is, speaking about that, the devotees have been trained, that if somebody claims to be an incarnation of the Lord, ask them, or if they say they are God, ask them to show their universal form, just like Arjun saw on the battle of Kurukshetra before the fight, because Krishna is able to do that. If they give you any excuse and not able to do it right away, they should be able to give you the spiritual vision and they should be able to show you the universal form. If they're not, then they are lying, they are dishonest. So the short answer to the question is how to know what is right. What is right is backed by Shastra also. Mm-hmm. The behavior of sadhu also is very much along what Shastra says to do. So Shastra is our guide. Mm-hmm. And then the actual training and what to do and what not to do. Hands-on is also from experienced devotees. Hare Krishna. I hope that's satisfactory. If you want to ask a follow-up question, that would be nice too, if you want to. If not,
No, thank you, Prabhu. That's helpful.
Hare Krishna. Okay, go to the Prabhupada. Anyone else who wants to ask a question or share realization?
I don't. I don't know if this will help or if it's related to Dir Krishna's comment and question. You know, you used the example of a doctor, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Dir Krishna, I think your question is how do we know
Yeah,
where to follow the right training? Is that what his question is?
Yeah, I mean,
similar
so
to that.
just
Yeah.
like when this war of Kurukshetra happened, two parties, right? So, but now these days we have multiple parties, multiple opinions. So who to follow? Like who is right, who is wrong? How
Mm.
to make that judgment to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, that's okay. What's coming to my mind, Prabhu, is, you know, like when we go to school or like when we're in college, right? What's coming to my mind is, you know, when we have, like, say I'm a second year student in college and I'm having some issues in school and I go to the school tutoring center. I think nowadays all universities have a tutoring center or something like that. And there they have third year and fourth year students who have so-called, you know, finished what I have finished because I'm a second year student. And sometimes their teaching of examples may be different than what I'm learned in school, you know, what I'm learning in class. So when I hear from the third or fourth year student who are students still, not mentors, you know, students, they're also still in college, but they are so much, you know, they are a bit more junior to me. and they will teach in their way, and that may confuse me. So I would go back to my professor and say, you know, sir, I am having trouble in this problem. I went to the tutoring center, and the third and fourth year student shared it this way, but it's confusing me. So what should I do? Then I go back to the professor, and then he'll tell me, and he says, well, they are doing it this way, but actually this is the best way. So the point I'm trying to share here is people will have a lot of opinions because, you know, as they say, too many hands spoil the broth. But then we go to the main cook to get the right recipe, you know. So I think this is the same, you know, situation that we have to go to, you know, to the leader, to the temple authority, to the, you know, to the to the, you know, that's this chain of command, right? We have to go to the head, lack of a better word, to get the right answer. Like Pritchett was using the example of a doctor. Like you know, even for doctors, they are required by law every 6 months to 1 year to go get back and get training or refresher course or go for whatever they want to call it, you know, even though they are doctors. But by law, they have to do something to keep their license active. Like I know for those who work as certified nursing assistants in nursing homes, you know, and in hospitals and retirement homes, every year they have to go back and take a 1 week refresher course or whatever they call it to keep their license renewed. And if it get expires, they have to go through all the training to get, you know, it renewed, and they got to maintain it every year to keep their license fresh. So the same thing applies for us, that we have to brush our tools and our skills in devotional life and devotional practices to always go back to the head, to the lead, you know, and the head and the lead must be known. You know, like I know right now there are so many Bhakti Shastri, teachers in ISKCON. And I'll be honest, Prabhu, you know, that there are so many centers out there that are not, what's the word, recognized or mandated or stamped by the ISKCON GBC headquarters. But they use Anuttama Prabhu's signature, copy paste, and he doesn't even know. That's a cheat. And the funny thing is that even for Bhakti Shastri, there is a requirement that it has to be recommended by the temple management of where you are residing. And people don't follow that. They ask their friend who's a devotee that don't even know them. They don't go to the temple management. That's cheating the system. What happens when devotees do that is Krishna doesn't keep quiet. We have a living God. You know, we have a living God that is still breathing, is still alive. He's not dead. And we will pay for the consequences down the road. So, you know, if we don't pay for it now, we will definitely pay for it later on, you know, because Krishna is in everyone's heart and Krishna is watching over us. We can get away with murder, as they say, but there's a system, and if we do not cheat, use the system, we will pay. You know, like again, the last example, and I'll stop. Like we can get away driving, breaking the rules without a driver's license and without inspection, without registration, so on and so forth. But it just takes, and we can get away doing it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, for example. But it'll take one incident where a cop is hiding behind a tree and we don't even know, and they pull up and they give us a ticket, and that's it. So that the same thing applies in Krishna consciousness. That's what I feel, Prabhu. I hope that helps. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right. So, are there any more comments, questions? It's very, very important not to cheat in any situation we're in. Cheating, especially as it was explained, we have to remember one thing. The Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra war, was fought, but the person that wanted the war to get rid of the demonic people was in fact none other than Sri Krishna. Krishna wanted the war to clear problems that the demonic kings were causing on the earth from the request made by Mother Bhumi. Krishna came to deal with that situation. It was one of the things that he did. But did Krishna himself fight? No, he did not. And so, Shreya Mataji, I feel you raise your hand. Let me just finish it and I'll call you. Okay, so no problem. I recognize that. So the problem is people sometimes don't understand that the reason we gave this example is that what is happening is something that Krishna is behind. When you other things are especially some people, they want some things, they want some particular services, they want some particular position, they're not getting it, and it seems that all kinds of trouble is getting in the way of them wanting to get the position they want to get to even serve, and it's not being allowed. All kinds of problems. I said, why? Because the foundation that they started with was a dishonest foundation, and Krishna already knew it. And therefore, if they tried to go further, all kinds of blocks come in the way. And then they think it's management giving them trouble, but actually, they have started on the wrong foot, and Krishna is pulling their ears about it. Never think that just because the deities are standing there and standing at one place and seem not to move, that Krishna is not there. That is Krishna. Sees everything. You cannot cheat the system. It just doesn't work. It'll come back to bite you. You'll have so much difficulty until one day you realize, oh, so I did this, hence the block. That's why I'm being blocked. I mean, look at people, some people are serving nice. How come I'm not getting a chance? How did you start off? Were you honest in even the process? When you wanted to go and get a spiritual master, were you honest about all of the requirements? If you weren't, it will come back to bite you. You cannot be dishonest and be a good devotee. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The word to the wise is enough. Shreya Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept
Hare
my
Krishna.
obeisances. You explained very well, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class. And one very beautiful thing highlighted in the class was not to cheat.
Very
However,
important.
everything is very perfect in the spiritual world. But here, unfortunately, in the material world today, what I have noticed, people have normalized cheating. They uh, they would amend the rules, they would amend behaviors and their actions as per their convenience. And when you try to address things to anyone in a humble way, also, they will say, "Oh, you have unrealistic expectations. The world is like that, and you are stupid." So, in that situation, a devotee is frenzied how to act.
How to act? You should stay honest in your own ways of dealing with things. You know dishonesty is not good. You already know that. And other people, I was chuckling to myself when I heard you say they have normalized dishonesty. That's a good one. Mhm. Yeah, people are saying people have done it so much where it's just a thing that we do. Believe you me, at every level, personal level, family level, society level, national level, when there's dishonesty, there is payback. There's repercussions. There's problems that comes into the life. There are nations. There's so many people in the nation accepted bribery, dishonesty, so many things. And then they came back to haunt them. You see, the simple thing that people need to know, especially the woodies, they need to know that this material world, this earth that we're in, is an arena for rehabilitation. We have been criminal, we came from the spiritual world to this place, and we are trying to get back. And so there are people who are not trying to get back. Just like every school, there are people who are serious, the students, and then those who are playing around. And if there are a lot of people who are playing around begin to talk to everybody else, that would be like what you're hearing. Oh, that's the way life is. So we have to be what, dishonest? But if you're dishonest, there is a price for it. And people just think, oh, I can get away with it. The Lord gives us a break in terms of some time for us, to change our ways and become honest. The immediate thing that's done is that the intelligence tells us we're being dishonest. The mind is going to, try to do all of these kind of things, but there's the intelligence, and that is controlled by none other than the super soul, who's in our heart. Through the mind, the super soul dictating to the mind lets us know this is wrong. Everybody that's dishonest is pricked by the intelligence that what they're doing is wrong. They just choose to ignore it. And so for a while, you'll be told it's not right, it's not right, it's not right. Then one day, the results for doing that dishonest thing comes upon you. Then you regret. So because some things hasn't happened yet in terms of the repercussions, in terms of the results, the chastisement hasn't happened yet, then people think they're getting away with it. But everybody that thinks that they become dishonest and get away with it is not thinking straight. They're thinking foolishly. As they say in the Shastra, Maya Parita Jnana. Maya has stolen their intelligence. So they think they're getting away with it. Nobody gets away with anything. So you stay honest. And even people, your co-workers, they do whatever they're doing, you stay honest. That may cause some of them to be envious of you, forget about it. Go on and be honest and keep chanting, for the chanting is always protective of us. And we'll be fine because Krishna is the most supreme. All the energies belong to him, so nobody can harm you. Krishna always protects his devotees. So you just stay honest, and other people are saying, we do this, we do this, we do that. And, that's all dishonest statements, and they think they're getting away with it. If they're not going to hear you about changing their ways, leave them. You just smile at them and go on with your policy of or character of honesty. And you'll be the one, later on, they'll learn. When the chastisement comes from them, they'll learn. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, how to deal with that situation where people think we have unrealistic expectations when we try to correct them?
When you're trying to correct and they won't hear you, then there's no point going on like that. You have to leave it. In our devotee life, there's something called the 10 offenses against chanting of the holy name. The ninth one is to talk about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to somebody who doesn't believe it and doesn't want to hear it. It's an offense to go on trying to push something that positive to a person who doesn't want to hear it. So if they won't, you have to leave them alone. If they won't, you're listening to good advice. I mean, you're trying to give good advice. You know you're giving good advice, but they won't hear you. You can only go as far as what you can do, but you cannot control the reactions of others, how they take things. You cannot control that. That's not in your power. So you try to do something good for them by giving good advice. They won't hear it. You go on and be the example of good behavior, of honesty, and watch what Krishna does. You watch what he does. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Then glory to the Prabhupada. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Shreya, does this like we say, you can lead the horse to the water, but you cannot make the horse drink the water. It's the same concept here. Like so, and so, we can crack our heads and bang our heads and all day long, but if we don't have control of that, we just be the example. But at the same time, we should also, one thing that I want to add is not take the association, like we can be the example, but we shouldn't fall prey to become like them. That's
Yeah.
that's the fine line, you know. So, we can't make them become like us. It's not within our control. We can't control the situation, but we can control our actions and situation, and also not fall into their trap, you know. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Very important to add that. Very good. Any other questions, comments? All right, let me just share some of my, we have a couple more minutes, okay. Srila Prabhupada was talking about Dharma Yukta, religious fight. Mhm. He started by saying you have the right to fight your aggressor. A person that kidnaps your wife, a person that sets fire to your house, a person that comes at you with the intention of killing, you have a right to defend yourself. Mhm. By the way, that's still this a person coming at when there's proof that person was aggressive, trying to take a life of somebody. You can, in fact, go after them. You can hurt them. You can even shoot. I mean, like with a gun. American law allows that still protection. That's just for your information. Mhm. The police investigate, but if they're totally convinced that you acted in self-defense, you won't even see the jail cell. We just ask you to go home. I've seen it in the video, literally, that the person who was attacked, and it was in the store, and it was a camera, saw everything. The police saw it clearly, self-defense. That was the end of the case. It didn't even go to court. So you can defend. Still, it's there. That's good. You can fight your aggressor. Mm-hmm. So Srila Prabhupada gave the example of Mahatma Gandhi when he wanted to free India through nonviolence, and it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. He was even asked the question, but if somebody comes and starts acting violently towards your daughter, what would you do? He said, I'm nonviolent. I will not do anything to the aggressor. So Srila Prabhupada said, that is not backed up by Shastra. That is foolishness. It was just very plain. And sometimes he also says about Mahatma Gandhi, he wanted to free India. It was very, very honorable. As a matter of fact, Srila Prabhupada was in Gandhi's movement earlier, before he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. But how did Gandhi die? Aggression. Somebody was aggressive towards him. So, no, normally devotees should be humble, but in that situation, we need to just take action because the person is already wrong. The aggressor should be killed if they're coming with the intention of killing. Sri Prabhupada has also warned us in this lecture. While chanting, while trying to be a devotee, you will get aggressors. There will be some people who are envious against devotees, some people who will fight against devotees. Of course, we already know that there are some religious people who say that if you're not in my religion, then you're just doomed. You go to the Shastra, it says, Sarvadharman Paritya Jamamekam Sharanam Bhajat. Real religion is to surrender to Krishna. To abandon all the types of religion. Prahlad Maharaj was attacked by his father, Hiranyakashipu, just for being a devotee. So that's the example Srila Prabhupada gave. Normally, we should be non-violent unless someone is violent towards us. Lord, give one more example. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill Jagai and Madai because they attacked Lord Nityananda and hurt him. That was the only reason Lord Chaitanya, who was actually coming to teach, one of the external reasons for coming to the world was to make people devotees, change their minds. He wasn't really going to use any weapons. But Jagan Madai, for offending, especially Madai, for hitting Lord Nityananda on the head with a broken pot and actually injuring him, Lord Nityananda was bleeding profusely. Lord Chaitanya was ready to kill Jagan Madai then. So normally we should be non-violent until this kind of situations come. And see, Prabhupada gave one more example. The Pandavas, even though they were, they did wrong, the Kauravas did wrong to them so many times, they did not want to get into a war situation. They wanted, somehow to settle this. When Krishna got in there and said, just give them 5 villages and take everything else, do that. He still said no. So what happened was because the other side did not agree, there was war. And so that is Dharma Yuddha. That's religious war. He also, Srila Prabhupada also said that Krishna was there in Kurukshetra, and that makes that place the place of pilgrimage. So the problem with Yudhisthira, and that actually very much connects with the mood of devotees. Yudhisthira thought that wars should be against enemies, but he was looking at the people who were opposing him as his friends and relatives, especially the relatives. So Brahmanas should remain humble. Kshatriyas should fight, and of course, they are the ones that run the government, so they can exact taxes also for doing different things needed by everybody. The fighting should be Dharma Yuddha, religious fighting. He explained the Brahmanas are supposed to teach and become learned scholars themselves. Now, these days, in India especially, there's no real training. He said that some people by birth, they claim to be Brahmanas because there's a Brahman family that they took birth in, and therefore they are Brahmanas. But there has to be training. The example is very simple. When you are born into a family of doctors, your mother's a doctor, your father's a doctor, does that make you a doctor? No, of course not. You want to be a doctor, you have to go to medical school, and after that, get trained. Then you can be a doctor. So, Vaishyas, Sakyas, they all should be trained. Brahmanas should be trained. Training is very, very important. So, that is one thing that we take with us. When you're a devotee, you'll be told some things that you need to do, the basic things, the hearing, the chanting, and so on. But you have to also get training and so on. That's what really gives the growth in Krishna consciousness. The first thing to do is what we're doing now, hearing. That's very important. Then we know what is what. And then the details come from the training. Of course, everybody has to chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also ended this like this, says, chant Hare Krishna, chant more. That was the last statement, it's still on the screen. Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Any final comments or questions? If not, then thank you very much for coming on to here. Have a nice rest of your week in the Krishna Conscious Way. We'll see you over the weekend, if not before that. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhivya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jackie. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada.